Why has the Dutch government, a guy called Rutte, the Prime Minister, completely owned by the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, why has he just announced that the Netherlands, the second biggest exporter of food in the world, is targeting farmers to destroy them and get them off the land, which is where all these farming protests in the Netherlands have come from? At a time of food shortages and supply chain problems, you are targeting the second biggest exporter of food in the bloody world to destroy its farming base? Why are you doing that? If people depend on you for what's left of the food, you control them. Where food is abundant and cheap, you do not control them. Where energy is cheap and abundant, you do not control them. Scarcity equals dependency equals control. And that's why they're targeting the food chain, they're targeting the energy supply, they're targeting everything. Why has the Dutch government, a guy called Rutte, the Prime Minister, completely owned by the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, why has he just announced that the Netherlands, the second biggest exporter of food in the world, is targeting farmers to destroy them and get them off the land, which is where all these farming protests in the Netherlands have come from? At a time of food shortages and supply chain problems, you are targeting the second biggest exporter of food in the bloody world to destroy its farming base? Why are you doing that? If people depend on you for what's left of the food, you control them. Where food is abundant and cheap, you do not control them. Where energy is cheap and abundant, you do not control them. Scarcity equals dependency equals control. And that's why they're targeting the food chain, they're targeting the energy supply, they're targeting everything.
Hallo allemaal, daar zijn we er weer. RHTV Live vanuit het mooie Maastricht. Ja, we zagen net David Icke, die allerlei vragen ging stellen. Van waarom doen ze dit? Waarom doen ze dit? So we are streaming live from Maastricht. We just saw David Icke asking himself, why are they doing this? And he gives answer to the question. Hij geeft antwoord op de vraag waarom ze dat doen. Ja. En het gaat om controle. Ze willen controle over jou en mij. Ja. Dat is wat ze willen. Er is niet voor niets een AIVD en weet ik wat allemaal. Ja. Ze bespioneren ons en zoiets. Ze willen alles van je weten, alles. Maar wat weet jij over Rutte? Wat weet jij over Mark Rutte? Hij heeft bij Unilever gewerkt. Ja, oké, maar voor de rest, ja, dat is maar de vraag. Hè? So what do we know about our prime minister? Basically nothing. You know, but we have to trust him. Ja, we moeten hem wel vertrouwen. Het regeren is ook vertrouwen. Ja? Governing is also trust. You have to trust your government. Well, we're going to show you guys the opposition speaking towards the cabinet, right?
Meneer Wilders, PVV.
So, Wilders for the Party for Freedom is going to ask.
Voorzitter,
Is going to ask the Prime Minister about the low grading that they got. Right, they have a 3 on the report card, and he's going to ask, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" Now we're talking about the budget for next year, but what are you going to do right now? That is the basic question that Wilders asks Prime Minister Mark Rutte. And Mark Rutte says something about trust. This is why I bring up the trust, right? So you have to trust Mark Rutte, who basically stole 1,675 kids by the child benefit scandal, right? Between 2013 and 2019, authorities wrongly accused an estimated 26,000, it's actually 30,000, parents of making fraudulent benefit claims, requiring them to pay back the allowances they had received in their entirety. Yeah. So that's one big scandal following our Prime Minister, right? And it's still not solved. 1,675 kids have been stolen from their parents because the IRS said, you can't pay the bills, you can't take care of your kids, so we're going to take care of the kids. Us, the state, trust us. You got to trust us, En de Nederlanders weten wel waar het over gaat. De toeslagenschandaal, dat nog steeds niet is opgelost. Er zijn nog steeds kinderen die niet herenigd zijn bij hun ouders. En zoiets heel erg triest. En dat achtervolgt Mark Rutte. En ja, hij doet zijn best hoor, hij doet zijn best. Ja, we gaan even kijken naar Geert Wilders en Mark Rutte.
Minister-president had het al in het begin van zijn betoog over vertrouwen. En het vertrouwen van mensen die dit debat volgen, maar eigenlijk van iedereen in Nederland, in u en uw kabinet, is heel laag. Ik geloof dat u een 3 heeft gekregen met uw club. En dat komt onder andere vanwege de koopkracht. Niet alleen vanwege de koopkracht, ook vanwege asiel, vanwege wat u met de boeren doet, maar voor een groot deel omdat mensen een half jaar lang hebben gezien dat ze in grote problemen zijn gekomen en dat u er eigenlijk niet voor ze was. Weet je, als je dat zelf niet kan oplossen en je ziet dat je je boodschappen niet kan betalen en je energierekening loopt op, dan verwacht je van een overheid dat die er is om je te helpen om niet onder het bestaansminimum te zakken. En u heeft dat laten afweten. En we gaan vandaag een hele dag praten over hoe we dat voor volgend jaar allemaal beter kunnen doen. Maar ik zou toch deze dag willen beginnen met een reflectie van u op die lage cijfers. Maar vooral, wat heeft u nog voor de mensen die nu kijken in petto om dit jaar ze nog financieel te helpen?
Minister-president.
Ja, voorzitter, ten eerste over de vertrouwenscijfers. Die zijn laag, dat is gewoon waar. En dat hebben we met elkaar onder ogen te zien. En ook in het kabinet. En misschien wel in het bijzonder in het kabinet. En daar speelt naar mijn overtuiging absoluut in mee dat mensen grote bezorgdheid hebben over de 3 grote vraagstukken die rond deze zomer op Nederland zijn afgekomen. Rond asiel, stikstof en inderdaad, ik ben het met Wilders eens, in de allereerste plaats koopkracht. Dit zijn uiterst complexe vraagstukken. Er zijn geen toverstokjes om ze zomaar op te lossen. Dat kost tijd. Dat duurt geen jaren, soms zelfs geen maanden, maar minimaal weken en soms maanden. En op asiel zijn we nu in geslaagd in ieder geval die grasvelden rond de Apel leeg te krijgen en perspectief te hebben op een meer bestendige asielketen. Bij stikstof zijn de gesprekken met de boerenorganisaties nu echt aan de gang en ik heb daar vertrouwen in dat we samen tot gezamenlijke oplossingen kunnen komen.
So our Prime Minister basically says we're solving the crises, we're talking to the farmers. Now the farmers within the farmers union, there are three groups, right? And one group is affiliated to the government. And the other two groups are basically grassroots organizations, right? So they don't have much affiliation with the government. Now, one of those groups is talking to the government, with Johan Remkes. We're going to show you guys that dinosaur. Johan Remkes. There you go. So they're talking to this guy. Now, this guy had made our new cabinet, basically. And, he put the nitrogen crisis on the table. So we're talking to the same guy who put the problem on the table. It's really amazing. And the guy that made Rutte 4, right? So we're basically and asking basically not conquer us, please. So this is happening, and farmers are being right now, as we speak. Not only farmers, also the fishers, right? We have a lot of fishers in the Netherlands fishing for clams and other fish that we eat and stuff like that. And they're also having tough times because of the European Union. Yep. And as I've said before, it's all based on trust. Het gaat allemaal om vertrouwen, mensen. Vertrouwen jullie de Europese Unie, die dus zegt van... ja, wij hebben wel de middelen. Als er een rechtse regering komt in Italië, dan hebben wij wel de middelen, hoor. Ja. So, I played this one yesterday, and here we have the president of the European Union. Within the European Union, there are many commissions, right? And this is the head of all those commissions, Ursula von der Leyen. And she basically thinks that, we cannot wash our hands. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. So would you trust someone like that? We're going to go back to the studio and cut off the mic. Otherwise, you got to get echo. So.
I wanted to ask, are there any concerns regarding the upcoming Italian election? Also considering that, a lot of people running, a lot of politicians running had relationships with Putin. Thank you.
Yeah. That's basically what I was talking about, that democracy needs each and every one of you. Democracy is a constant work in progress. We're never done. It's never safe. It's never, you put it in a box and you keep it. But it's a question how people stand up for democracy. We'll see the outcome of the elections. We had just elections in Sweden too. My approach is that whatever democratic government is willing to work with us, we're working together. And it is interesting when you experience the functioning of the European Council, there's a lot of dynamic in the peer group. So you're not only a country, member state that comes and says, I want, but you are in the European Council and all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, my future and my well-being is also depending on all the 26 other ones. And that's the beauty also of democracy. We're sometimes slow, I know, and we talk a lot, I know, but that's democracy too. So we'll see if things go in a difficult direction. I've spoken about Hungary and Poland. We have tools if things go in the right direction. And people, as a body that is always, where always governments have to be accountable to, play an important role.
July 2022, Mario Draghi resigns as Italian Prime Minister.
You see this one? Why Italy changes governments so often. Yeah, Draghi is going to go, and Italy has cast their vote, and they want a
I wanted to ask, are there any concerns?
Right-wing government. So, and you just heard Ursula von der Leyen, who's a technocrat. No one voted for her, aside from the prime ministers. You see, we vote for political parties, right? The political parties consolidate, they make a government, right? And a prime minister comes from that government. Now, the prime minister on the European scale can vote in, someone like Ursula von der Leyen. So one prime minister votes for the country, right? Now, I did not vote for Rutte, and so he does not have my consent to vote for Ursula von der Leyen. So this is what I mean by technocrat. No one voted for her except for Rutte. Now, let's see what happened in Italy, right? Because who won? EU worries mount as Italy takes a sharp turn to the right. Yep. So you have to understand that Italy has been run by left-wing parties after the Second World War. During the Second World War, you had a right-wing party, and that's how fascists came to be. Ja, dus na de Tweede Wereldoorlog zijn er altijd linkse regeringen geweest. En wat we dus weten is dat linkse regeringen meestal niet goed zijn. Ja. Daarom krijg je ook zo vaak een nieuwe regering. Die hebben de economische dingen niet op orde. Die zijn ook voor open grenzen. En zo is, kom maar naar Italië toe hoor, kom maar naar Italië toe. Er zijn mensen in Italië, die worden hun huis uitgejaagd. Ja, omdat er mensen vanuit Verwegistan komen. Libië of andere landen, die wagen dan om naar Italië te gaan per bootje. Zo is er ook in Libanon een boot omgekiept. Ja. Dus dit gebeurt. Nu heb je een partij die zegt van nee, er komen geen vluchtelingen meer. Dit willen we niet. Ja, en dat wil Europa dan weer niet. Want Europa is het continent zonder grenzen. Er wordt dan gezegd. Dus, so Italy is taking a sharp turn to the right, saying we don't want any refugees anymore, and we are skeptic about the European Union and stuff like that. So now you have another country which is skeptic of the European Union, right? So we had England in the European Union, and they basically said, bye-bye EU, bye-bye, we're off the table. And then Europe was panicking. You know, they wanted to consolidate more power. So they did. And we gave them more power and stuff like that. So this is basically what happened, right? Now, Poland is like, hey, wait a minute, you guys over there in Brussels, you don't know anything about Poland. You know, you don't know the hardships we had felt after the Polish Empire fell, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth fell, right? You know, we had our own country. We were taken over by Germany and Russia and Austria at the time, right? And the French liberated Poland, the Duchy of Warsaw, right? It was Napoleon who did that. And this was basically the escalation between France and Russia. We know how that happened. What happened, you know, we know. So basically, the Polish have to thank the French for making the Duchy of Warsaw. You don't believe me, right? Well, let's look it up. The Duchy of... There you go. Duchy of Warsaw, right? So we know, we do our history, you know, and we're trying to convey on a scale basically what happened during history, right? So, and Italy should be a proud country. You know, that's where the Roman Empire came from. They expanded all over Europe, man. They were in Spain, they were in France, they were everywhere. You know, even the Asian continent, they took over Turkey and Egypt and parts of Libya and also Tunisia. You know, it's amazing what the Romans did, basically. You know, and you guys should be proud of yourselves. You guys are fighters, man. You know, Carthage didn't stand a chance against the Roman Empire. So Italy should be a proud country, and they are. They are. And the European Union is raping them in their behind, and Italy says it's enough. It's enough. So we're going to take a look at the elections here. But first, we're going to cut off the mic.
Giorgia Meloni has won the elections in Italy, and she is going to become the country's first woman prime minister. In more ways than one, she has broken a rigid glass ceiling in Italian politics to emerge victorious. Meloni's alliance has claimed about 43% of the vote. That gives her right-wing alliance 114 seats in the Senate, where 104 are required to claim majority. Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party is estimated to have won about 22 to 26% of the vote. Italy's main centre-left group, the Democratic Party, the PD, conceded defeat. But across the world, Giorgia Meloni's rise to power is being viewed as problematic for what are alleged to be her far-right proclivities, such as the paranoia that the European Union chief Ursula von der Leyen even went on to threaten Italy, saying that it has tools to deal with the electoral outcome in Rome.
We'll see. if things go in a difficult direction, I've spoken about Hungary and Poland, we have tools.
Giorgia Meloni has been in politics since she was 15. She joined the youth wing of the Italian social movement, which was an outfit formed by Giorgio Almirante, who in turn was a minister in Benito Mussolini's government. Meloni is an Italian nationalist. Her party is a champion of patriotism, and that is what has helped it win public support in recent years. In 2018, the Brothers of Italy party won just 4.3% of the vote. Today, it has won an estimated 26% of the vote. That tells you how Meloni's own beliefs have resonated with the people of Italy, not all, but a significant chunk of the Italian population. Now, what are Meloni's beliefs? Let's have a look. Giorgia Meloni is anti-immigration. The to-be prime minister has even proposed the idea of Italy's navy turning back immigrants to the African continent.
Well, I just explained what Italy stands for on the right side of the political spectrum. So, yep, there you go. And now the EU says, hey, we got tools. We got tools to control you, Italy. We got Eugenfor, or whatever they're called. EU Genfor. EU Gen for, there you go. Eurogenfor, you see, European Gendarmerie Force. So I already explained this on RHTVLive years ago, but I'll explain it again, right? The centralized powers have made an army to control the states within the centralized power. Right? This is also a reason why England left, you know. So if Germany does something that Brussels does not want, they say, hey, we got an army, listen to us, you know. This is what Ursula von der Leyen, who no one voted upon, meant by we got tools. So we have Poland saying, you know, Brussels, you do not decide for us. We decide. We decide. We are Poland. You know, Polish people are proud. Proud people. Yeah, the same goes for Hungary. Now, what's going on in Hungary? We know there's a war going on in Ukraine, and Hungary is dependent on Russian gas, right? So Hungary says, we're not going to choose sides. We're not going to choose Ukraine. We're not going to choose Russia, but we are dependent on Russian gas, and our economy runs on that. So they get Russian gas, even though the EU says you have to put sanctions on Russia because they're attacking Ukraine, right? And Hungary says no. So this is what's happening within the EU. And now you have a right-wing government formed in Italy and also Sweden. Let's not forget the right-wing government over there in Sweden. So the political landscape is changing within the EU, right? Dus Polen zegt van nee, Brussel, jullie hebben niet over ons te beslissen. En ja, wij zijn Polen. Ja. Hongarije, die krijgt Russisch gas terwijl dat eigenlijk niet mag volgens de EU. Volgens Ursula von der Leyen, waar niemand op gestemd heeft, nogmaals. Dus ja, en nu heb je dus een rechtse regering die eurosceptisch is. Ja, en de politieke landschap gaat veranderen. Laten we ook niet Zweden vergeten. Hè. Die hebben ook verkiezingen gehad. Dus, en als we nou gaan kijken naar volgend jaar, dan hebben we dus ook verkiezingen in Nederland. Ja, het is weer zover. De Eerste Kamerverkiezing. En ook in Griekenland komen er verkiezingen in dezelfde tijdsperiode. Dus dat moeten we in de gaten houden. En de Europese Unie wil ook gaan uitbreiden naar Noord-Macedonië en Albanië. Nou, dat hebben we ook laten zien bij RHTVLive, wat dat teweeg heeft gebracht. Heel veel protesten op straat en noem het allemaal op. Dus, so the European Union also wants to expand to North Macedonia and Albania. Many protests on the streets. So this is what's happening within the EU, right? And the Balkans are very hard to explain. You know, it's very complicated. But yeah, there's a lot to look upon, search upon their history, the former Yugoslavia, right? So we're also going to take a look at Mariupol, which is in Ukraine. It's on the coast in the east of Ukraine, because there are Mariupol. There you go. Donetsk Oblast. There you go. Mariupol. Because there is a referendum going on in the Russian occupied territory of the east of Ukraine, and you have Donetsk and Lugansk also having the referendum to join Russia, yes or no, right? There's also been a referendum in Crimea, and the European Union sees this as an annexation of part of Ukraine. And Ukraine itself also sees it as an annexation. At least the government sees it that way. And basically, on the battlefront, they conquered territory at the west of Kharkiv. So they're gaining territory because NATO is supplying them with all sorts of ammunition and soldiers, even though that's hush hush, right? Yeah. Hush hush. Yeah. Basically, the army is defeated and NATO is using Ukraine as a proxy to fight against Russia. This is why NATO says, whatever the outcome of the referendum, we do not accept that. Even though NATO had referendums during war times in Afghanistan and stuff like that. So, you know, very, very odd. But we will see inside Mariupol, Ukraine, we're following Patrick Lancaster, right? But first we're going to cut off the mic.
Right now we are arriving in Mariupol, as you see the sign behind me. This is just beyond our halfway mark of showing you the complete referendums of all 4 areas in Ukraine that are having this referendum to join Russia. Now, Mariupol is our first stop in what the residents voted to become the Donetsk People's Republic in 2014. Now, we have been in the Kherson region and the Zaporozhye region, if you've seen our other reports. If not, you should go back and check them out. But now we're in Mariupol to show you what's happening in the referendum here. This is our first stop, as I said, in the Donetsk People's Republic, and we're going to be showing you how the people are voting and what's happening for the referendum. It's about midday on the third day of the referendums, and we're here to find out what we can show you on how the referendum is going and what other information we can show you. For instance, on the left over here, or your right, I should say, you can see 1, 2, 3 apartment buildings that are in process of being built to be given to the residents of Mariupol at no cost, to replace the homes that were destroyed during the war. And on this side of the sign, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 other apartment buildings that are being built by Russia to replace destroyed homes from the war.
Oh, Russia bad. Russia bad. Russia's making new apartments and new housing and stuff like that, free of cost. Right? Oh, Russia bad. Russia bad. Putin bad. Bad Putin. Dus ja, dit gebeurt allemaal, mensen. Rusland die maakt nieuwe flats en zoiets gratis. Oh, Rusland is fout. Poetin fout. Poetin fout. Russia bad. Russia bad. We kijken door.
Now, we're told there are many areas like this through Mariupol. We haven't seen them ourselves with our own eyes yet, as this is our first time back in Mariupol since the fighting was happening, the intense fighting back when we were showing you every day what was happening in Mariupol. So now we're going to move forward to find out all the information we can on the referendum and whatever else comes our way. So make sure you like this video, share it across all social media, subscribe if you're new, and please comment below what else you want to see and what you think of our reports on the referendum and beyond. And also remember, we're independent crowdfunded journalists. You can support our work with the link on the screen or in the description. And we see the amount of work that's going on here. A lot of new homes. Look like there was at least 20 over there to the side. And that's apartment buildings, that is. But still a lot of destroyed homes. Let us know in the comments below if you want us to come back and do a full report on the new homes being built. We just wanted to give you a little look inside Mariupol on our way to the referendums. You can see virtually every building is taking damage. And we've been trying to get as much information as we can here in Mariupol to really see what our next moves are, because we're out on our own trying to find you the real information. We're not with some press tour. We're in the nitty-gritty of doing real journalism here, trying to talk to the people, the real people, see what the real opinions are. So as we get more information, we're seeing that, like Kherson and Zaporozhye regions, a lot of the voting is going on by mobile voting stations from home to home for elderly and different things. So it's a little later in the day here, so we're not sure if we're going to be able to run into some of these or not, but I think there's a lot of people here on this bus stop waiting, and we're going to have a talk to them just to see what the average person here really thinks about the situation, thinks about the referendum.
Житель этого микрорайона, ну, что с нашим микрорайоном, вы сами видите, наверное, ну, видите с этим, что сделали. Ну, мы долго ждали этого события, и когда мы все-таки вступим это россиянами станем, мы, конечно, это ждали долго. Ну, наконец-то этот момент настал, мы очень рады этому событию и ждем, что будет какая-то сдвиг и какая-то определенность в нашей жизни настанет. И мы очень хотели этого референдума. И думаем, что все это наладится, все мы перетерпим. Ну, чтобы больше этой войны не было, и чтобы мы жили нормальной жизнью. И ни с кем не воевали никогда. Вот. Такое мое мнение. Ну.
По нашей информации, сейчас проходит референдум только домовое голосование. Люди голосуют дома. Вы уже голосовали?
Да, я голосовал на дому, потому как, ну, по мерам безопасности вот, так решили. Это очень удобно, и я скажу, что это было проведено, как говорится, на высшем уровне. Все это было, как вам сказать, ну, как и раньше мы голосовали, так же самая такая система, бюллетени заполняли и бросали урну. Все это было. Голосовать никого не насиловали, никто с автоматом не стоял, честно говорю. Кто как, кто да, кто нет. Ну, большинство нашего населения голосовали да, потому что выхода у нас другого нету. Надежды на ту страну, в которой мы жили, они нас бросили, они нас так подставили, что нам живем мы сейчас кто по подвалам, кто где. Ну,
So there you have it, people. Right? You have this resident guy saying the government abandoned us. They set us up so that now we don't have a place to live at. Some people live in the basement. Light was given, water was given, but not at all. We hope everything gets better in the near future. So this guy is probably going to vote, or probably voted for Russia, right? So that changes the battlefield, basically. Because right now, on an international scale, people, right, in the Netherlands, for example, in a political bubble, are saying Russia is attacking Ukraine. Now, when they decide to join Russia, that would mean Ukraine is attacking Russia, right? So that changes somewhat the battlefield. and Belarus is a friend of Russia. They're also in the Russian Federation, and maybe they're going to help with this war. I believe they are supplying the Russians and stuff like that. But, you know, the same goes for NATO supplying Ukraine. So they're not directly involved, but indirectly they are. So that is the battlefield right now at this moment. And yeah, we're not choosing sides. I just wish, you know, Ukraine could live together. That was the basic principle for Ukraine when they set up their own country, right? After the fall of the Soviet Union, they said, you know, we are Ukrainians now. We aren't any Russians. You know, we identify ourselves as Ukrainians, and you know, very sad to see that the country is basically split into two, right? And there is no national identity. Now, there has never been a national identity in Ukraine. It always has been set up as a puppet state, you know. So, but Ukrainians should be proud, you know. Don't fight each other. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. You are fighting your own countrymen and women and children. You know, you are fighting your own people. That is the bad thing. You know, and Russia is supporting the east of Ukraine. And would you blame Russia? Would you really blame them? You know, they're fellow human beings. Russia also sees it as Ukraine, you know, and they don't want any war. This is basically defensive war for Russia, right? There's no one attacking Moscow, you know. We do not want war. We want a unified country. And the country is not unified because of certain ideologies, right? Zelensky is basically a very, very dangerous guy. You should have not let him become a president, you know. And Ukrainians need to realize what's going on. You guys had a coup. You were overthrown. Yanukovych fled towards Moscow, right? Because the government was overthrown. Politicians were thrown into the garbage can, you know. Right-wing factions took over the government and said, Slava Ukraina, and, you know, they beat up other people in Ukraine and stuff like that. Very, very sad to see that an extremist party grabs power in Ukraine. And they say the same about Italy. Oh, a right-wing faction. Italy is somewhat different. You know, Italy is within the EU, and Italy was the only country that supported Greece after Greece had their dealings with Goldman Sachs, right? Which Goldman Sachs profited from. Goldman Sachs, Greece. Profit. There you go. Goldman Sachs profited from the Greek debt crisis. I explained this, in nausea, but yeah, they're still profiting from the crisis. It's a straitjacket where Greece never will come out of it. Ja. Griekenland zit in een dwangbuis door Goldman Sachs. Waarom pakt ze nou Griekenland aan? Waarom? Nou, daar begon de democratie. De Peloponnesische oorlog. Heel vaak uitgelegd. Dus dit is ook een symbolisch iets. De EU zegt van, democratie, dat moeten we niet hebben. We moeten een bepaald evenbeeld geven van democratie. En ja, als we nou gaan kijken naar de grondwet, de zogenaamde grondwet die we dan hebben, het Verdrag van Lissabon. En we kijken dus naar het referendum. Nederland heeft nee gezegd. Frankrijk heeft nee gezegd. Maar Ierland zei ook nee. Ja. En Ierland moest wel een tweede keer gaan stemmen voor de Europese grondwet. De tweede keer stemmen. Waarom zou je nou in één keer gaan stemmen als die stem toch niet telt? Ja, erg waar, man. Maar dit is zo geregeld bij de Europese Unie. Dat noemen ze een democratie. Nee, het is een schijn van democratie. Hetzelfde geldt voor Spanje. De Catalanen, weten we nog? Die hebben ook een referendum gehad om zich af te scheiden van Madrid. En normaal zegt de regering van ja, stemmen, dat moet je doen. Hè? Je moet wel gaan stemmen. Maar ja, stemmen om af te scheiden, nee, dan krijg je knuppel in je nek. Tot zover de democratie in Europa. Dat is ook de reden waarom de Krim niet erkend wordt als een geslaagde referendum voor Rusland. Nee, annexatie. Dus dit gebeurt allemaal, mensen. En we hebben het alleen nog over Europa. Hè? We hebben nog niet eens over de interne dingen wat in Nederland afspeelt. Of België of Frankrijk. Dat is allemaal verschillend. Maar mensen pikken het niet meer. Er zijn zelfs beelden uit Italië. Waar mensen de energierekening gewoon weggooien, verscheuren en weggooien. We halen de beelden zo naar voren. Dus, kijk, dit krijg ik ook heel vaak. For all the people watching, right, in your virtual reality and stuff like that, with your avatar and stuff like that. Je video is gedempt in bepaalde landen waar Meta niet over de muziekrechten beschikt. Ja. We're not playing music. We are showing news. Right? We are showing what's happening around the world. So, ik was ook in de bus en in het mooie Valkenburg. Gisteren was toch wel een special voor RHTVLive, voor de Facebook-volgers. Even kijken waar we het kunnen zien. Staat op de tijdslijn. Dan zie je dus mensen de rekening weggooien. Valkenburg was ook onder water. Ja, dat heb ik dus niet meegemaakt. Kijk, ook een andere achtergrond. We moeten strijdbaar zijn. Strijdbaar. Weet je. Ik weet dat ik afgekeken word, bespioneerd word en zoiets. Het zal allemaal een worst wezen. Ik strijd voor Nederland. Daar strijd ik voor. Ik strijd voor jou en voor jou en voor jou en voor jou en voor alle mensen die deze realiteit niet kunnen snappen. Ik probeer het gewoon uit te leggen wat er allemaal aan de hand is. Ja. Ik strijd voor Nederland. Een goede film van de Grieks-Perzische oorlog. Erg interessant. Zack Snyder is ook een goede. Kijk, hier zo zien we dus de rekeningen die verscheurd worden. De energiecontracten die verscheurd worden. These are the energy contracts that people are ripping apart. And in Italy, and they say, we're not going to pay anymore. We're fed up with you guys. You know? Dus we gaan even terug naar de studio. En zo.
Grazie. Se ci sono dubbi, le associazioni sono a disposizione. Tracciarle e depositarle ordinatamente in questo grande cesto. Questo cesto che rappresenta un po' la fine della nostra economia, dei nostri territori, delle nostre imprese che noi vogliamo e dobbiamo scongiurare.
So there you have it, right? Energiecontracten die worden gewoon verscheurd. Men heeft er lak aan. En men heeft zoiets van, dit is Italië. This is Italy, right? We're not going to be pushed around anymore. We're not going to pay your bills. Ja. Dat is in ieder geval een goed teken. En dat zou Nederland eigenlijk ook moeten doen. Ja. Maar ja, hebben wij de ballen in de broek om dat te gaan doen? We hebben wel de ballen in de broek om van een afstand boe te roepen tegen de koning. Dus dat paradigma, dat verschuift ook weer. Wie weet, misschien krijgen we nog Franse revolutietijden in Nederland. Ja. Want destijds had je dus ook een revolutie in Frankrijk. En toen had je dus Robespierre. Die zei van, on this day of homage to his greatness. The virtue. Ja. Maar hij bracht ook de reign of terror. Hij zei van virtue en terror. Dat komt bij elkaar. Dat is interlocked. En zo ontstond eigenlijk de fundamenten van de deep state en de regering zoals wij het kennen. Destijds had je ook allerlei politie en zoiets om dus de bevolking in toom te houden. Was je voor de revolutie of was je tegen de revolutie? Moet je eens voorstellen. Er waren dus mensen die Robespierre steunden, zoals Danton en anderen. En dit is dus nadat ze onthoofd zijn. En Robespierre zoiets heeft van, dit is de supreme being. I am the supreme being. Ja. Dus hier, the cult of the supreme being. Let's see what this is, what cult this is. The cult of the supreme being was a form of deism established by France by Maximilien Robespierre during the French Revolution. It was intended to become the state religion of the new French Republic and the replacement for Roman Catholic and its rival, the cult of reason. It went unsupported after the fall of Robespierre and was officially proscribed by First Consul Napoleon Bonaparte in 1802. So there you have it, people, the cult of the supreme being. And these are the people in power. They feel as if they're supreme beings, you know, like Ursula von der Leyen. I will control your government. Trust me. Trust me. A lot of people had put trust in Robespierre because he was seen as a good guy. He was an anti-monarch, you know, and he said torture and stuff like that. We're going to ban it. We're going to ban torture during the reign of the monarchy, right? So a lot of people saw this guy as a good guy, Robespierre. And then the power, the Dutch say, de macht steeg naar zijn hoofd. The power became too much for him, and he saw his own Frenchmen as an enemy of the new established republic, right? So it's all a cult. Het is allemaal een cult. En deze gast zit ook bij een cult. The World Economic Forum. Ja. Goed. We blikken ook eventjes naar andere dingen. In Brazilië komen de verkiezingen. Lula tegen Bolsonaro. Ja, nog steeds is het een beetje 50-50. Dus even kijken. Russia school shooting. School shooting in Russia. Very, very sad to see. Let's see what else we got here. Death toll, Lebanon. Yeah, a boat capsized. So that is also very sad to see. Boat carrying people off Lebanon sinks. Yeah. Let's see what else. So a lot of stuff. There was a big typhoon in where was that? You guys can also cut in if you want. You know, there was a typhoon somewhere. I'm blank right now. So I believe it was the Philippines, right? Let's see if we can find it here. Brazil. It's got to be here somewhere. Hurricane Fiona. Yeah. There you go, typhoon. Super typhoon Noru slams into Philippines. Yeah, we pray for the Philippines, for all the people over there, and come together as one, you know, save each other, feed each other, and yeah, we will light a candle for you, for all the people who have lost loved ones and stuff. So And we're going to put it on the map. Not me. No. Also a beautiful place. Philippines there. So people can grasp where it is, right? So here you have the Philippines. And we pray for the people over there. Also a lot of earthquakes going on and floods and stuff. It's the end times, as I often say. And we also look at fall of civilizations, right? And we are in that stage of the fall of civilizations. So also a very interesting channel to follow. The Nabateans, and they also talk about the Aztecs and the Sumerians and stuff like that. Very interesting channel to follow. So this is also very interesting. People missing from national parks. This is about Yosemite National Park. And the way I grasp it, the national park has their own sheriff and their own agency, basically controlling the park, and you weren't allowed to film and such. And now the regulation has lifted, and people now are allowed to film in national parks. This is the way I grasp it. Maybe you're wrong about that. Dave Politis knows more. Very interesting guy to follow. He's also a Bigfoot researcher, and he was on Coast to Coast AM with Mr. Nori, saying that the Sasquatch is human. We're going to show you guys that. Coast to Coast AM, Dave Politis. There you go. Bigfoot, the evidence. So very interesting to listen to that, you know, and there's a lot going on in the world, and it's for you to find out what's going on, you know. So we're going to end the broadcast. All right. Thank you all for watching, and I thank you all for listening and stuff like that. Every day we give geopolitics and in 2 languages. Most of it is in English, but we also have Dutch. So thank you all, and I'll see you guys next time. And remember, you guys are the light in these dark, dark times.